Bill, number 3.
Number 3 today, Mark, and one more to go. So it's Podcast Tuesday for us.
It is. It's good, and that'll cover us for the next few weeks.
That's right. And we're looking outside. It's, what did you say the temperature was?
33, I think.
33. So I'm happy to sit. We're actually sitting in my lounge room today.
Yes, very comfortable.
Because all our podcasts are via phone.
Yep.
We've just done 2 in Colac with some really interesting businesses.
Yeah, 2 interesting small business. Well, not so small businesses, actually. They were good. They were very good.
Colac's full of kept secrets, I found out.
I'm very impressed that you found all those.
That's right. All right.
So, who are we chatting to now, Bill?
Today we're chatting with Len Bogatin, who is principal or co-founder of LBA Construction Group. Well, might have been another name in the early starts, Len. But welcome, Len.
Thank you.
Good.
So, Len, we always go on this journey with where did you go to primary school? So, think back.
I'll come to that, but you mentioned Colac.
Yeah.
Not that I worked in Colac, but my dad had timber mills there way back. So I spent a lot of time when I was in primary school and then at beginning of uni, going back and forth out of Colac. Kincaid's timber mills he had.
Is that right?
And,
that's interesting. Yeah.
And he had something in Birregurra and Barwon Downs, I think. And
Well, I think the only thing of decency in Birregurra now is the pub. Right? I went through it the other day, actually. But there's AKD is, of course, the big timber mill down there now, and Kelco's still going.
Right.
They're still doing.
And they're all old family businesses. That's what it is.
Well, Dad, they were milling hardwood, and then they started closing off all the forests, so it became too difficult in the end, I think.
Yeah, life moves on.
All right, so primary school then.
Where was it?
So, primary school, East Kew Primary School. We grew up, Mum and Dad bought into East Kew in the 48. I was born in 52. So just around the corner from East Kew Primary, so that's where I went.
That's up the top of Burke Road, isn't it? Is that on High Street near there?
No, it's off Belford Road.
Oh, Belford, sorry, yeah, now I know where you
Belford Road. It was a great school, had a great time, I think,
Yeah, and
primary school was good.
And high school from there?
I went to Kew High School. My mum was a teacher there. In fact, I went there the first year they actually opened the high school at Kew.
Yep.
And Mum was a teacher. I only went up to, in the old days, Form 3 or Form 4 at the time.
Yep.
So we went from grade 6 to Form 1 at Kew High, and I excelled in history and English, I think, because my mum was a teacher. But don't tell you.
Well,
and while you were at high school, did you have any jobs?
Jobs.
Part-time?
Yeah, I did.
Part-time jobs?
Part-time, yeah. Well, I was at Kew High until year 9, and by year 10, at that stage, I think when I was going to year 10, Kew High was just starting year 12. They hadn't done year 12.
Oh, right, yeah.
Mum was a bit concerned about all that, so she shunted me off to Mount Scopus College. So I did 10, 11 and 12 at Scopus and 9, and what is it, 7, 8, 9 at Kew High.
So was that...
I was half a genius at Kew High, and I was an absolute dunce when I got to Mount Scopus.
Oh, that's all right then. I claim having been to 5 schools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember I got kicked out of any of them, but there were five schools. But it's talking...
So jobs, I had a job, sorry. I a friend of the family had a petrol station in Kew, and so I would work odd hours helping out pumping petrol. In those days, used to pump petrol for people and used to clean their
windscreens. Yeah.
I did the same, Len.
Sorry?
I did the same when I was in my first year out of school at uni. I pumped petrol and did windscreens and turned people away when the fuel strike was on, if you remember those days.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was left, I was probably a little bit older, but I was definitely still at school, and I was left to run the petrol station because, you had nowhere to eat in those days, and Mr. Gus was his name, and he'd have to go off to do something, and it was just me and him. And once he went, there was just me.
Yeah,
you and the lolly tray. That's right. So, which part of Kew was that in?
That's near where the freeway starts now, Chandler Road.
Oh,
the end of
yes,
Chandler,
yeah, because there's a
right
big
on that
servo.
corner.
There's a big servo there on the corner now.
It's still there, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. It's a different, obviously different
Yeah,
thing. And there was a terrible fire there one day, and he got quite injured, I think. I wasn't there at the time. But anyway, it recovered and it reinvented itself.
All right, so whilst doing year 12, what was in your mind that where were you going to go after school?
Year 12. Well, that's a good question. Again, my mother was a teacher and she had my life plan.
Yeah.
And we were hoping, I didn't have, what can I say? My main interest at the time was doing a lot of running.
Yeah.
And a lot of at Mount Scopus, a lot of the kids were eyeing off fairly high vocation goals. And so I wasn't sort of thinking about that because I was a jock, kind of. Anyway, but we started thinking about architecture, to be honest. Architecture and construction was never handy, still not particularly handy as a tradesman, but interested in design and architecture, always interested in building and commerce and cash flow and that sort of stuff. And Dad being in the business, sort of, selling timber, lots of scantling to Geelong.
Yeah.
A.V. Jennings used to do a lot of building there, and Dad used to supply a fair bit there. So I had a little bit to do with construction then, and I guess I just rolled into architecture. That's where I went.
Well, let's just go back a step. You mentioned running. Now, little birdie tells me that you were a champion sprinter. Is that correct? Don't undersell yourself.
No, I did a fair bit of running, and I guess my claims to fame was way back in the 1970, I think. I have to work it out. I won the Victorian 400 metre under 19 championships. I went to the Australian champs, and I came fourth. I still rue the day. I should have definitely got a place. But anyway, so I did that. And then, so that was 400, but I was reasonably good at 200. I got second in the state in the 200. I was in the 100-metre final with the all schools against all the, in those days, the private schools, the Trinities and the Wesleys, I guess.
That would have been an Olympic Park, wouldn't it?
The old Olympic Park.
The old Olympic Park, yeah.
On the black track where you had to put, if it was a hot day, you had to water the track so you can get your hands and knees down to get to a start position. Yeah. No. But, and I kept going. I went to Melbourne Uni and I did a fair bit of university athletics, and I got to represent the state in a couple of other competitions, and I went overseas a couple of times. But I was never Olympian, and I wasn't that far off Commonwealth Games, but
you're
I
up
enjoyed
there.
it.
It was a passion. And Mark, interesting enough, Len's son now is an athletics coach for kids.
Yeah, there you go, genetics.
In the genes.
Genes.
Yeah. Yep. So you finished high school, so which course did you get into to start with?
Well, I got into architecture and construction, or architecture and building, I think it was called back then. Professor L.U. Simon, who started up and ran L.U. Simon Construction Company, he was the professor of construction, or professor of building, and he was running the course down there. Great man, great engineer, great foresight. Anyway, so I got into that, and so first year architecture and first year building were the same course, the same subjects, the same everything. I did that. But I spent so much time running and going into varsity and all the rest of it that my results weren't particularly great. And in those days, they used to put the results up in the Barry building. There was the undercroft of the Barry building. And they used to pin results up. And I knew I didn't do too well. And Dad rang me and he says, no mobile phones, of course, but he rang me from Colac. He says, I'm coming home from Colac tonight. It's a Friday. He used to work Tuesday to Friday in Colac. Yeah. So I'm coming home tonight and I'll just whip by and have a look at your results. No. So I said, there's nothing much to look there, Dad, really, you know. No, I hear they're out. Anyway, he went there. I didn't, of course, and he came home and I knew I didn't do terribly well. And he had a bit of a sense of humour. He came and he said, I went down there. I said, that's good. He said, I think they forgot to put your name up. Oh my goodness! So I passed a couple, but I failed more than I passed, and so that was a problem. But then good old Mum came to the rescue, made an appointment with the Professor Simon, took me in there, showed him what a great person I should have been. And he said, look, I can't get you back into architecture, but if you apply yourself, we'll get you into the construction or the building course. So that's what I did.
Good. Excellent.
That's a good story.
That is. And you completed that, and then the next step?
Oh, what happened was, where would you be without a mother? So I passed first year, which was great. That was a significant. I let Dad go then and have a look at the results. And then the Public Works Department of Victoria was offering what they call cadetships in quantity surveying at the Victorian Public Works and Treasury Place there. So, and they paid you to do that. So Mum says, why don't you do that? Let's go down and see if we can get yourself a cadetship.
In other words, she said, I don't want to keep paying to feed you. Is that right?
That's right. She said, you work for the Public Works Department. Well, it's fantastic. It's a job for life. You don't never have to worry about income. They have great superannuation or whatever. You've got a future there forever. And I wasn't particularly inclined to think I'd be a public servant all my life. Not that I knew a lot about not being, but anyway. So she organised this meeting with me, and I had to go down to the Public Works Department and meet the Chief Quantity Surveyor, have an interview to see if I could get a cadetship. And the guy I met as a Chief Quantity Surveyor was an he wasn't a general, but I thought he was like a General Eric Klein. And I go into this interview, he sits behind this massive desk, and he's not such a massive person, so it looked a bit funny. And he says, hi, I'm Eric Klein, Chief Quantity Surveyor. I said, oh, hi, I'm Len, and put my little wimpy hand out, and he grabbed it and almost threw me over the table, shook me like a leaf and threw me down. I thought, oh, my God. Anyway, so we started talking, and he says, now tell me, Len, why do you want to be a quantity surveyor? And my preparation wasn't that good. I did learn from that you should prepare for interviews. So I said, good question, Mr. Klein. And he looked at me again and he says, you don't know what a quantity surveyor is, do you? I said, no, not really. So he explained to me what a quantity surveyor did, and it wasn't all that exciting, I must admit, but I nodded my head and all that. So and the interview was finished. I got up to say goodbye and had to shake hands again. So I girded my loins. I put my hands all over the bloody desk, and I did my best, position. I was really strong. I threw my arm out, and he grabbed it and shook me like a leaf again and threw me out the door. And that was that. So, and I went, and Mum said, how'd you go? And I said, I don't think so. Anyway, but sure enough, I got it because I don't think they had too many applications to be applicants.
That's fantastic. That's a great story.
So I got the job, and it was a great job, I must say. It was just a great learning incubator. Fantastic.
But you did some tertiary studies as a QS, didn't you?
Yeah. So I did. I finished the Bachelor of Building course, and then when we did the Bachelor of Building, when you got to final year, I think you could sort of go into two streams. One was as a quantity surveyor at the university, or the other one was in like an on-site construction, I guess they call it. Yeah. So I took the quantity surveying stream, of course, because that's what my cadetship was, and I was getting paid decent money. I have to work there every holiday, and like through the year, like Easter, and then through the Christmas break, I had a few days off, but I worked there, the university break, and also you had to do a year. So we did. I think it was. I might be wrong, but I think we did 2 or 3 years full time at uni, then a year working in prac, which I worked at the Public Works. Came back, did 1 more year at uni, and then you had your degree. So that's what I did, and like I said, it was a great experience. And then I was in my first year. I owed them 3 years because they paid for me for 3 years at university, first, second, and fourth. The third year, I guess, now getting it all together. The third year I worked there full time and got paid. So I owed them 3 years of my life, and if I left any year early, I have to pay back the money pay back a year of income. So I thought I'll do my first year, and I'll have to give back 2 years. That's not bad. So I did the first year, and I started the second year, and They started advertising. They said to people working at Public Works, if you want to do some further education, you can apply to the Public Works to get some further education. So I thought, well, why not? So I applied for a Masters of Business Administration at Melbourne Uni, not thinking I'd get in because I just started work, really. But I got in. I don't know exactly how, whether by interview or whatever, and I got in, and Public Works paid for me, which was fantastic. So I did a couple of years of that.
In my day, I think they were called Commonwealth Scholarships or something like that, weren't they? Oh, no, they weren't. No, you're a different model, but you could win scholarships to uni.
Yeah, right.
But
it was a fantastic. Again, I was really appreciative that, and I did the course. And again, I met some really interesting people there, which also sort of helped galvanise what I think I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. But then I did my 3 years, and therefore I had all the money that I'd kept. And again, my mum said, "You've got to keep that money,
Banker mum.
And good old mum. But once you do your 3 years, the money's yours. So, I mean, it was always mine because she didn't keep it. I had it, but I just obviously did what mum said, so I didn't spend it. And then after third year, I'd celebrate, and I said, well, and I went out and I bought myself a Tirana G-Pack, green Tirana G-Pack.
As you do, yeah.
From Kevin Dennis Motors or whoever it was those days. So I bought that, and then I started looking around for other work, I guess, because I thought if I stay longer at the Public Works, I would become entrenched. And nothing wrong with that. It was great, but I just had other visions. So I started looking around for other positions in the workforce.
Well, it's interesting, Len, because as you stand today, you are you and one of your fellow workers, was it Dennis? Was Dennis in the public?
Yeah.
The two of you.
No, Dennis wasn't the Public Works. I met Dennis later on, but yeah.
So 40 years ago exactly, or to 40 and a half years ago exactly, you and your business partner started the construction company, and which today stands with a great reputation, and I know it's doing reasonably well, and you have some 70 employees, and things are moving on, and you're in the high-end boutique residential and sometimes commercial building sector. But I just wanted to go back, Mark, because we're in Geelong. Len was also a part-time lecturer at Deakin.
Oh, right.
And every time I go somewhere in Geelong, in fact, we have a colleague in our Directors Breakfast group who was taught by Len.
Yep.
And that was Jared.
Jared.
But I keep running across these people in building and everything in Geelong who tell me they were taught by this wonderful lecturer called Len Bogatin. So tell us a bit about Deakin.
Yeah, no, Deakin was just fantastic. So just very, very briefly, I left the Public Works. I joined a development, sort of like a development company, worked there for about 4 or 5 years. We did developments and retirement villages and a few things. I met Dennis Matheson, who became my business partner. I met him there, and we set the business up in 1985. Yeah. And then I won't go through the whole history, but I started growing a few legs, and then I thought I really I wanted to do some further education, so I enrolled and did a graduate diploma in project management at Victoria University. Just at the time when I started the business, just at the time when our first son was born, our only son actually, Adam, and then our daughter came along, and I'm studying, and my wife's trying to feed kids and look after kids, and I'm trying to start a business and studying further, and bit of a mess when you think about it now. But anyway, we did it, and I got this graduate diploma. And then a friend of mine, how to get to Deakin, so a friend of mine, a guy called Jim Smith, who I worked with actually at the Public Works Department, there's another connection there. When I was working there, he's an English person who came in from England to the Quantity Surveying Department at Victoria, in the Victorian Public Works. But he was an educationalist, actually, an academic. And he had a short history of the Public Works, and then he was taken off went to Hong Kong, I think, or Singapore, and ran a building course there, and to Hong Kong did the same thing. Then they dragged him, or they offered him, and he came back to Deakin University to run the construction course at Deakin University when it was paired up with the architecture course, because prior to that it was just, I think it was standalone under engineering. Anyway, they started the building course and architecture at Deakin University out of Geelong campus. Long story short, so then Jim rings me up and he says, hey, you want to come down and do part-time lecturing here? And I said, well, I don't know. I'm trying to start this business. And he said, no, come on. It'd be great. 50%. Anyway, I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, and that was pretty good money. I think it's 12,000, 13,000 a year, part time. And again, not that I had to ask Mum, but Mum was a teacher, and I'd seen what she'd done and how she did it, and the passion she had for it. And I thought, why not? And then Mum could go around, Mum and Dad could go tell everybody, oh, our son is a lecturer. Wow, how good's that? Anyway, I took it on, and I was there for 15 years part-time. It was just fantastic.
So were you doing your business at the same time then? Was your business starting?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I started there. So I started the business in 85. I did the grad diploma from about 88 to 90. Then pretty much I started teaching at Deakin 90 or 91 and was there till 2005. And we had the business going, ticking along a little bit by the time I started teaching at Deakin. And when I started teaching at Deakin, I saw the great talent that was there, and we started, Dennis and I said, we'll need to employ, if we get busy, we'll employ someone. The first year at Deakin, we got busy. So one of the kids in our final year that I was teaching, I taught the subjects Project Management 2 and Project Management 3. That was to the third and fourth years, I think, of the course. And a lot of them were double degree students, architecture and construction, which was great. And a lot were construction only. So I employed the brightest kid in the final year, a guy called Brad Nash. And I'll say he's the brightest unless someone else mentions someone else's name. I say, oh, yeah, they were the brightest as well. So Brad came and we started working part-time with Dennis and I. Well, Dennis wasn't working in the business. Dennis wasn't working full-time in the business. He was managing, because his background's accounting and commerce. So he's managing all the financials, which was great, the business side of things.
Yep.
The due diligence and the insurance and all the corporate stuff, which was great. I mean, I knew about that too, but he did that, and I just was involved in estimating and contracting and interviewing and getting our trades and all that, winning work. And so we won enough work, even by the time I was teaching first year at uni, that we needed somebody in. So Brad came in as I don't even know if he had a title, but he was with me. And we started winning a bit more work. And then a couple of years later, we employed Dennis's son, Simon, who is a fellow director here now. But he was just a kid going to uni then, not knowing what he wanted to do and how he was going to live his life. And I said to Dennis, well, come down to Deakin. He's 21 now. He can get in. Anyway, so I spoke to Simon about it, and he said, I don't want to be accountant. I said, no, it's not carpentry. It's project management. It's business management, but it hasn't happened to be construction business management. Anyway, he came along, and he was fantastic, and we started employing him, and we sort of grew from there, to be honest.
It's good. Len, just give us a description of your business today.
Our business today.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've grown to a fairly substantial size. We built our own office. Actually, the year that I left Deakin, we'd grown so much that we purchased property and built our own office. So by 2005, when I left teaching at Deakin, we moved straight into this office in Caulfield that we built in 2005, and we pretty much filled it up straight away. Over that period of 15 years that I was teaching at Deakin, we grew from, one person and a helper to... And that helper wasn't Dennis. Dennis was in the business. By the time working in the business, there was me, and then Dennis's wife, Barb, was helping me, and that was about it. It was in the office, and then Brad came, and then Simon, etc. And by the time we moved into this office here, we had probably, we had 15 people working in the office and probably 15 or so out on the sites. And I did all the estimating at the time, but we had accounts and we had project managers and CAs and... Yeah, and then I missed to say that in that meantime, we set up our own LBA project management company, client-side project management company as well. So we had a construction company and we had a project management company. So I think we had 6 or 7 people in the project management and 9 or 10 in construction and sort of in the office, and it sort of blossomed from there.
What do you put your success down to, Len? What made you grow reasonably quickly and...
Well, it wasn't that quickly. Like Dennis always used to say, it takes you 15 years to become an overnight success. So I guess that's what we were doing. We were just growing. We always had the focus on delivering what our customers wanted, number one, open communication, have knowledge of what you're doing. Like I learned from my interview with Mr. Eric Klein, be prepared. Like, don't go in. Don't be naive. Go in if you're going to price something for someone or meet a client. Know who they are, what they want. Meet the architect, etc. Have knowledge. Knowledge is gold. Now, I'm not saying I have great knowledge, but at least you can do a bit of research. So, have knowledge. Collaboration is like always. We always treat, and always have treated everyone with respect. You would hope you get respect back, but all the trades from our, because we started employing carpenters and labourers and apprentices over the years, and always treat them with respect. They're no lesser person whether you're a billionaire building a mansion or you're one of the trades making that mansion. You still need to be treated with the same respect. And I think you get that back. Yep. You do get it back. You should, yeah. So it's all about that. Be innovative. Have a look what you can do. Don't just say that is what it is and that's how it will be. Add value. Somehow add value to what you're doing. Be open to suggestions. We've always been open. I've always been open to growth and knowledge from the people that we work with or the people that subcontract to us. If there's a better way of laying a brick or putting a shower screen or whatever, let's listen to it. And really, the business has grown on the back of young minds, young enthusiastic minds coming out of trades or out of university who really want to improve and want to work with a company that has that same vision as they may have of doing the right thing and try and produce the best quality for the best people as best you can. So I guess that's what it's all about. And over the years we've had, as Bill said, there's a lot of, and I have great comfort too in meeting people. Over the years I've taught and they've gone on to great things, and not even great things, doesn't matter, but they've gone on and still remember the time we had at the university, and some of them have become very high flyers in the construction and architecture world.
It strikes me that you've got a very strong values-based business.
Oh well, that's it. I mean, again, a lot of that comes, I suppose, from your upbringing and mum and dad. I remember Dad he was in Colac, running the timber mills, and he used to just talk about the truck drivers and the guys logging and what great people they are and what wonderful families they have. And you meet these guys and oh my God, you might be there in a dark night. Look, some of them had half a hand left and they was rough as, but they were the nicest people. And Dad always treated like that. Like Dad used to walk down the streets at Colac, and when we go with him, he'd know everybody, but he couldn't know their names. So it's always, g'day, sport.
G'day, mate. G'day, mate.
Yeah, and everywhere you walked. And he had, and that's the respect he got because he treated everyone appropriately,
That's good. Now, Len, just changing to now again, is that you've started a succession plan. Dennis has retired. Your son's come into the business. Dennis' son's come into the business. Yes. You've brought in David as another. So you've now got 4 directors. Yep. And you're implementing a plan to set up a formal board with all about governance and structural, but without killing the business because it is a family business, and that's important. Yep. So where do you see the business going now?
That's a great question. So we put together a 5-year plan. I suppose we're a year or two into that, and we've done we're starting to do what we said we would do. Well, I guess we've always grown fairly organically. I was just thinking about it before this podcast, and you sort of asked a question I never quite answered. Did I ever think that we would, when we started the building company, Dennis and I, we'd end up with what we have? No, I didn't have a 10-year, 20-year plan, 40-year plan that in 40 years we'd be doing what we're doing now. But the plan was always, whatever you do it right and show respect, et cetera, et cetera. So that's how it's sort of grown. So where it goes from here, it's a little bit out of my hands here. I helped start the business. I started the business with Dennis. But where it goes, well, I guess it's up to the younger people on the management team to decide where that is. But we've all shared, one thing is 100% sure, we all share the same values, which is the most important thing. So where that goes, I don't know. We look. There are challenges, of course, with insurances and homeowners warranty, and now there's even more about limits on how many projects you could do, or your finances to support projects you do, and which is ridiculous. I shouldn't say it's ridiculous, but in housing, you got to tick off certain financial criteria. If I want to go out and build, and I've got an unlimited, building practitioner's unlimited license, I can go build a 40-story building, but I wouldn't. But I could, and I'd have almost less governance than when I want to go out and build someone's house. Like, it's just madness. So we have to look at where our opportunities lie and where the business wants to go. I mean, and I know I'm jumping around, but one of the beauties of our business, I suppose, is we've had personnel come and go. We have personnel come here when they're younger, grow their experience, go out to the wider world, get more experience in different areas, and then come back. They want to come back. You've sort of learnt some stuff outside. They bring that energy back into the company. And we've had 4 or 5 very high-profile graduates and professionals go out to the big boys, the multiplexes and the others, and come back.
That's good.
So that grows us. That gives us a whole lot of extra knowledge that we share. So, and no, again, I'm going on, but these guys and girls come back and they have ideas and they say, hey, why don't we do this?
Yep.
Look, I think we've got the expertise to do fit outs or more project management, whatever. Well, let's get into the Bellarine Peninsula. Boys, that's a bit of an ad. If you've got something going, yeah.
Oh, we've got a few contacts. Don't worry.
You should have. But anyway, so so the opportunities come a lot from those people that do work with us, or have worked with us and want to work with us again. And so we don't rule anything out. If it's high end, if it's servicing a client, if it's delivering high quality satisfaction in a project, well, that's what we want to do.
And on that point, I'd urge our listeners to go and have a look at the LBA Construction website, and you'll see some buildings, some residential buildings, and you'd look at them and think, boy, how the hell did they build those? They are fantastic. Len, my final question to you is, your partner's retired, you're putting in a succession plan. What's your plan?
That's a very good question as well.
Or should I ask your wife? Do you think I should ask your wife?
Well, I'll discuss that with my wife a fair bit. Believe it or not, I just don't want you to tell anybody else. Right?
No, that's all right.
Don't tell anyone. But I kind of like to write a little bit, and I do ditties and poems. Often on handover of projects, I do a poem for a handover.
That's really nice.
Very tongue-in-cheek, and but we recognise the client and the architects and all the trades that worked on it, so it's a bit of a laugh. But I do like to write a little bit, and I would really like to write something about my wife. Believe it or not, she has had an amazing career of her own, apart from helping me and the company, and in fact she works even now for the company. I'm in my 70s and she's not quite there, but she's not that far away. And she still works as a labourer, believe it or not, part-time labourer for LBA Construction. Site personnel or site help, and she's unbelievable. But she has a whole lot of strings to her bow. Yeah. And I've said tongue-in-cheek, but I kind of she has such a history that I'd love to write something about her and her family and our family, yeah.
Oh, well,
fantastic.
Don't talk about it, Len.
Yeah, do it.
Do it. That's right.
So, Len, pleasure to meet you. I've really enjoyed listening to your story. You've got a nice manner about the way you do it, and I love the values. So that's fantastic. So thank you.
Yes, Len, thank you for agreeing for us to interview you. And
my pleasure. Thank you.
It's I am so impressed with, I guess, the fact that you've maybe, I think, nailed succession, hopefully, and that, of course. But you'll never. I know you a bit, and you'll never go away because you'll also always be the mentor, the counsellor, the one offering the sage advice in the background. Right.
I hope so.
Good. Thanks, Len.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.